Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan Boundless, and in this video I want to talk about how I met my Thai wife. And in this video I'm just gonna have free flowing thought, and it's gonna be a little bit different from my other videos. So if you've got some time, just sit back and relax and just listen to my story. Just enjoy it for what it is. So this all started probably about 9 years ago. I'd had a really shockingly bad relationship with a Japanese girl. And at this time, I lived in Kobe, Japan. So, like I said, I was 32 years old. I had just gotten over a really, really bad relationship. I mean, she was extraordinarily bad, not just as a Japanese person, but as a human being. And I felt really jaded, and I felt really alone too, like extremely alone. This girl ended up cheating, and I mean, it wasn't my fault. It was because of her and the way her personality was. But that experience left me devastated because, of course, I put a lot of emotional energy into the relationship. And, when I have girlfriends in Japan, or when I had girlfriends in Japan, they would become my world. I would put all my time and energy into them, and those were the few times in my life in Japan where I felt like I had an intimate connection with someone, and there was more reason to stay there than just for superficial things like sex and money, which is it's easy to come by. If you've lived in Japan for a while, you know how to get these things easily, and especially as a young guy. So, anyways, uh, you know, I think I was coming around to a time in my life where I wanted something more, I don't know, secure and stable and tangible and long lasting. But what really brought me into the state of mind of wanting a serious relationship with I knew I wanted a serious relationship with a non-Japanese woman. I was kind of like, I was jaded by my last girlfriend. And, keep in mind, this is how I felt at that time, 32, when I was 32 years old, which was 9 years ago. I'm 41 years old now. Since then, I've come to realize that, you know, she was just a bad person. Uh, Her being Japanese was not really, I mean, yeah, it was part of it, culturally or whatever, but I've since then learned that, not to judge all Japanese people based on a couple bad apples. But at that time, I was just like fed up with Japanese women. I dated a lot of them, had a lot of experience. So, anyways, I really felt the brunt of it. I mean, like right after we broke up, uh, just like I remember being in my little, okay. For those of you who have watched my YouTube videos throughout the years, I used to live in a little apartment in Kobe, Japan, and this apartment was about 8 feet wide, and I think I measured it at about 22 feet long. So that was the size of it, and the kitchen was quite small. There wasn't a lot of space in the kitchen. There wasn't a lot of room for the floor, because the counters come out. And I remember just her telling me that she had just fucked some other guy while she was on a trip. And it's not that, well, yeah, that hurt. I'm not going to lie. But, then like instantly being alone again, and just, I remember crying and on the floor, and it wasn't even room to like just sit down and cry, have a proper cry, I just, because it was so small. But I felt miserable, and I was, I wasn't with her for a long time, only a couple months, like 2 or 3 months. So I mean, I was depressed for a few weeks, and then I just remember thinking to myself, like, God, I just like, oh, I hate Japanese girls. I don't want to be with a Japanese girl again. Like, I really want to, like, I've been in, let's see, by that time I had been in Japan for 8 years. So I was like, yeah, I want to just get out of this, like, this pattern of having Japanese girlfriends. And I'm just tired of being in Japan and being in this headspace of Japan and Japanese culture. Like, I still want to live here. Well, I didn't really want to live there. I wanted to still make money there because I had good jobs. And, uh, but in Kobe, there were not a lot of foreign women. I mean, there's not a lot of Westerners, period. There's Westerners, there's a lot of Chinese people there. And that's probably what I saw the most of, is Chinese people. But among the foreigners, there's more men than women. And yeah, I just felt like I didn't have a lot of selection. So I don't know why I chose Thai. I mean, I'd been to Thailand before. I thought Thai women were beautiful. I was on the internet because, I didn't feel like I had opportunities to meet women, foreign women in Kobe. And it may have been hard at that time to meet a foreign woman in Kobe or a non-Japanese woman. If I really wanted to, I could have probably gone to downtown Osaka and, looked around or gone to clubs or something. But at that time, going to Osaka seemed like it seemed far to me. But later on in my life, I would commute to work from Osaka to Kobe, so it actually is not that far. But at that time, it just seemed like too far to me. But anyways, I just ended up on the internet, and I mean, I was looking at, I was looking I was looking for girls in Ghana, Africa. I like dark skinned girls. Yeah, and I made some pen pals and stuff, and a lot of the girls from Ghana I met were really, I don't know, they seemed really flaky. Also, the Thai girls too, they were really flaky and seemed to just like bounce around from guy to guy. But I met this one girl on Thai Love Links, and she was really smart because I didn't get a membership for Thai Love Links. Like, I don't remember how it was back then, but it was something like you could contact them and they could read your mails, but then if they contacted you, you couldn't read their mails or something like that. But I remember I picked like 3 girls that I thought had good profiles. Like, I wasn't just looking for girls that were good looking. I was looking for girls that were good looking and had character, you know. And I contacted 3 girls from the Thai Love Links, and somehow I put in the title, because like I knew that they could read the titles of my messages, but they wouldn't be able to read my message. Yeah, that was it. They couldn't read my messages and I couldn't read theirs. And if you became a member, then you could start reading the messages. So for 3 of these girls, in the title, I kind of wrote in some kind of code that, if you were a little bit smart, you could figure out what my email address is. And the 2 girls couldn't figure it out. They didn't understand it, but she did. So I was like, okay, well, that's a plus. She's smart. She has good character, at least by her profile. And she's smart. So we were able to contact each other just privately through emails after that. We didn't need Thai Love Links. So yeah, we just got to know each other, and then we started talking to each other every day on Skype. Well, every evening, after work, I'd get home, and that's how I like to spend my evenings, like talking to her. Her English was almost, I mean, she almost couldn't speak English. She had a pretty low level, yet it was better than my Thai. Not that I could speak Thai. All I knew was how to read Thai. I'd studied like just the script before. Anyways, we would get on Skype every night and we would talk anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe 2 hours. And I remember like I would say things to her and she'd say I don't understand. So I would write it in the Skype session. I would write it, and then like it would take her 3 minutes to respond. And after like a week or two of that, I asked her. I said like, why does it always take you between 1 and 3 minutes to respond? Are you doing something else? Like, are you watching TV while we're chatting or something? And she's like, no, I'm not. She's like, I'm looking in the dictionary to see what the words mean. I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, yeah, she was very sincere and she was really just like, these were her first experiences like communicating in English. And like no teacher, just like she was just doing it the hard way, learning word by word through real life conversations, which I was okay with, because I was an English teacher in Japan. So I was very patient and I understood how difficult it was for her. And I was learning a little bit of Thai here and there as well. But basically, we were communicating in English. So this was like in September, and after talking every night, like I started to feel like she was my girlfriend. Oh, and here's another thing. She lived in northern. No, I'm sorry. She was from northern Thailand, but she was living and working in Bangkok to make money. And she was a apartment receptionist. So I guess it was like a hotel slash apartment, and she ran the front desk. She collected the rent. She took care of the residents' problems and all that. And she was just a farm girl from Phetchabun. Phetchabun is a province in northern Thailand. And she just came down to Bangkok to make money, and she had never had a boyfriend before. She had never even kissed a guy before. And on Skype, she looked stunning. She looked so beautiful. I was just beyond words how beautiful she looked on Skype. And I said to her, I said, you know what? Girls always look pretty in their pictures. And, I like girls that don't wear makeup. And I said, send me your ugliest picture. And she's like, are you sure? Because it's pretty ugly. I was like, yeah. I said, if I said that to a Japanese girl, she wouldn't do it. In fact, that's probably not limited to Japanese women. Probably most women wouldn't do that. So if you can do that, that would impress me. And she sent me her ugliest picture, and it was pretty ugly. Like, I don't know. I, I don't know why I didn't stop pursuing her after I saw that picture. I guess maybe she was daring me in a way, but I don't know. I was really attracted to her personality, and she was really innocent and pure. And those two characteristics, to me, at that time, were very attractive characteristics and very important. Because I had just come out of a relationship where a girl just cheated, and she just like she didn't even care, and I wanted a girl who was serious and loyal. So I was kind of prioritizing those characteristics over anything. Well, it turns out that, okay, let me go step by step here. So we talked for 2 months, 2.5 months, and then, November rolled around, and I told her that, I'd like to get away from Japan during the winter because it's freezing cold there. And I said, well, why don't I come down to Thailand and see you? And she's like, oh, okay. So I booked a ticket for like 2 weeks, and sometime between Christmas, like from Christmas on for 2 weeks. And yeah, I felt comfortable with her, and I planned. I mean, she was the only girl I talked to. I didn't talk to any other Thai girls. I was still like sometimes dating Japanese girls here and there while I was talking to her. And those other Japanese girls that I dated really kind of sealed the deal because they were so boring and stupid. Like, I remember this one girl I met, I don't know where I met this girl, maybe on the internet. And she came and met me at the park near my apartment. And this is like not just this girl, but like 90% of the Japanese girls were this way. You'd meet them and you'd find that you were carrying the whole conversation. You'd ask them a question, they'd give you a short answer, and then they'd be silent. Then you'd ask them another question about themselves, or maybe you'd relate to what they said in some way, and then ask, but whatever. If you stopped the conversation, they would not continue it. And, you know, like, I'd get bored of that. That was exhausting. That was mentally exhausting, and it was just like a waste of my time. Like, get the fuck out of here if you're not going to talk. Like, why are you even coming to meet somebody if you're not going to socialize? So they kind of sealed the deal. I'm like, wow, these other girls, these Japanese girls are boring as fuck. And I have this girl here in Thailand who, you know, she can barely speak the language, English, but she's trying so hard to keep a conversation going. So that really impressed me. So, yeah, I bought a ticket to Bangkok and I put all my eggs in one basket. I'm not recommending that, but from my impressions of talking to her every night on Skype, I just got the feeling that she was a good, wholesome person. And, the stories she was telling me were true and real. And, I think I have a good judge of character. And yeah, I've heard about bar girls and girls who scam guys for money. She never asked me for money. She never insinuated that, she was kind of playing the field or whatever. She was available to talk to me every night. She never did anything that made me feel suspicious. She said she had never had a boyfriend before. She had never kissed a guy before. And, I know women. I know people. I know how they act when they don't have experience. And she fit the bill. I mean, yeah, I could tell she was inexperienced with men. And even though she was trying real hard, even though she was trying really hard to carry a conversation, I could tell that she didn't have experience like talking to men in a way that was more than friends. So, I wouldn't recommend for all guys to put all their eggs in one basket, when you're communicating with a girl in Thailand. I would, if I was to do it again, I would have about 20 girls available to meet with maybe 5 or 6 good leads. But anyways, at this time, I was really serious. Like, I really wanted to meet a long-term partner, a potential girlfriend, and possibly a wife. So yeah, I put all my eggs in one basket. I thought she was worth it, But I told myself, okay, Ryan, you're just gonna take a trip to Thailand for 2 weeks. You have this girl who's gonna, meet you, and you're gonna spend the whole 2 weeks with her. And we talked about it, like how we'd spend the 2 weeks. We planned to go to, like, I'd never been to Laos before, so I wanted to go to Laos. And then I wanted her to, like, take me to an island because I'd never been to any of the islands in Thailand. So we just, like, kind of I remember we looked on the map, on Google Maps, and I was like, what's this? And I saw this island called Lantayai. So we agreed to go there, and I think I paid for her plane ticket to Lantayai, but other than that, she paid, and I think I paid for some of the hotels, but she paid for stuff too. And well, let me back up here. So, the day came, and I flew to Bangkok, and I remember I arrived in the afternoon, and I was just, I went through customs and immigration and all that, and I was just standing outside, like waiting to meet her, and uh, I guess she saw me, and I saw her see me, and yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm telling the story straight up. She made a bad impression on me, you know. Uh, she kind of like walked in my direction, but she wouldn't look at me. Uh, and she didn't smile. She didn't seem happy or anything. She just seemed kind of indifferent. Yeah, just the way she approached me, the fact, meeting the first time, just, it didn't make me feel special. She didn't seem happy. It was like, oh, you're here now. Okay, great. And yeah, I mean, it made me feel bad. And she came, I think she may have come with a friend. So, anyways, we're walking in the airport, and we're walking to find a taxi to go back to her apartment. And, she didn't look at me, and I think she was nervous speaking English. She wasn't really confident about her English. And, it's just crazy and chaotic at an airport, and it was hot there, and everything was new to me. I mean, I've been to Thailand before, but it's, the environment's different. So we finally got into a taxi cab, and the AC was on, and, uh, we sat next to each other in the back of the cab, and kind of our arms were touching, and uh, she was like able to look at me a little bit, and she was just really, really shy. She was just really shy, but in the cab, she became a little more personable, and I could tell she was nervous and shy. So I kind of forgave her for her bad opening, and I just made the conclusion that she's just really inexperienced, and because of that, she was socially awkward, and she didn't have experience with men. She'd never been on a date before. She'd never been with a guy before. So yeah, she didn't know how to act. Uh, and that was kind of a good thing in a way. Um, so I remember was driving, in that taxi back to where she lived, and she lived really, really far away from Bangkok. She lived outside of Bangkok, and um, it took a while to get there. And I was like, we're driving through Bangkok, and I'm seeing all this people and the crazy traffic, and just taking it all in. And I started to feel more comfortable with her. She had a very like calm and peaceful nature to her. And let me talk about my first impression of her. So when I talked to her on Skype for all those nights for 2 months, um, she looked so beautiful on camera, on Skype. When I met her in person, okay, let me go back. When I talked to her on Skype, she didn't necessarily put on any makeup or anything. Okay, so when I met her, she was 24. I was 32, so she was 24. And she just looked really, really sexy and hot on Skype, on camera, on video camera. When I met her in person, okay, when I talked to her on Skype, she was a 9 or a 10, if you're going to, rate a girl on a scale from 0 to 10. She was like a 9 or a 10. When I met her in person, I felt like she was a 5 or a 6. Now I know that's really mean to say that, but that's just being straight up honest with you, or honest with myself. Uh, when I met her in person, she was short and kind of had I don't know how to describe it, a stubby kind of body type. Um, she's like short and compact, and I don't know, just she wasn't as like like she was curvaceous, but uh yeah, she okay, so she didn't have experience with men, so like I don't think she knew how to dress either. Like she didn't dress in a sexually appealing way. She just, she just had like jeans and a shirt on. She didn't flaunt her curves or anything, and her figure, her figure from behind, it was just like it didn't leave me excited or anything, like sexually excited or anything. And like seeing her face from certain angles, it was like not very attractive. And I know this sounds really superficial, but these things are important. Like these things are important for having um, you need sexual attraction. Otherwise, what are you? You're just friends, right? So yeah, I did feel this way. That was my first impression of her appearance. Like yeah, when she came to meet me, that first time she met me in person, she didn't doll herself up. She didn't dress up. She didn't even wear makeup. She just showed up in some old jeans, like what looked like a secondhand shirt. Uh, you know, no makeup. And she didn't do her hair or anything. Just country girl. Very simple. And that's like, now that I'm thinking back on it, that's kind of a sweet thing. It's like she was saying, she was making a statement like, this is me. This is like you're looking into my soul, because there's nothing to distract you. There's no makeup, there's no earrings, there's no jewelry, there's no sexy clothing or high heels or anything to distract you. Like you are looking into my soul, because that's what I'm offering to you, my soul. So I understood that. And the more time I spent with her, the more beautiful she became to me. And the more I was with her, and eventually we ended up living together, and I was able to help her become more beautiful physically. Uh, and I'm going to talk about this later, but I bought her nice clothes, and she eventually came to Japan, and she saw how Japanese girls dressed, and I didn't encourage her to dress like Japanese girls or to wear makeup like Japanese girls. In fact, I didn't want her to do that, but she did develop her sense of fashion, and she was able to become a little more beautiful. But she had natural beauty. Um, After she became more experienced, sexually, and she became more like, yeah, she just became more feminine. I think when a woman experiences sex, her body changes, and like chemically and biologically, she changes. So her appearance changes as well, and she did become more attractive and more feminine and more sexy, a lot more sexy. But my first impression, she wasn't a sexual human being. She had never had that experience before, so she exuded that, and that's why I saw a 5 or a 6. So we took this long taxi ride to her apartment, and we got there, and it was just a room. You know, I lived in a room that was 8 feet wide and about 22 feet long. She lived in a room that was big and spacious. And she said she lived all the way out there because it was cheaper out there. She said that Bangkok was really expensive. compared to where she was from in Phetchabun, which is in northern Thailand. But it was just a simple room with a fan. It had a balcony, and on the balcony was a little mini kitchen, and she had a TV in there and just a big bed. And she had some of her stuff. I think she had a table and a chair. It was really simple and basic. And, I was exhausted from the flight, and I just laid down on the bed on my back. And she laid down, or she sat on the bed kind of close to me. And, I had to take the lead on everything because she didn't have any experience. She didn't know what to do. So, I kind of signaled her to come lay down next to me. And she did, but then she wouldn't come close to me. So I had to, like, kind of, bring her close to me. And, I had to teach her everything because she didn't know anything about, how to interact with a man in that way, which was good, and everything that she did confirmed to me and was proof that she really was as inexperienced as she said she was. And she didn't have to say it. I knew it from the way she acted. So we just relaxed for a while. And okay, you guys are probably wondering about sex, right? Well, in my mind, I just said sex is not a priority. I really want to make a connection with this girl, and depending on what happens when I meet her and the vibes I get, that's how I'm going to make my decision. Sex may not be necessary, or it may be necessary. So I was just my plan was just to, uh, you know, assess the situation and react accordingly. So I think after a while, um, I asked her if I could take a shower, and there was no hot water. That's common in a lot of places, especially like lower end apartments. There will be no hot water. That was kind of surprising to me, but it was like so hot there that I didn't need hot water. So I took a shower, and it was just like, man, Thailand, like coming from Japan, Thailand is just a different world. But I took a shower, I came out, and I don't really. I just remember, like, I think we relaxed. I think later that night we went out and got some food, and these are like my first hours that I spent with her, and I just had to spend that time with her to just get comfortable around her as a person. And I had to talk really slow and simple, and she was able to keep up with me. And I was just really careful not to talk fast, and not to get too ahead with the English, and just keep things simple and basic, and just be patient, like if she didn't understand. But of course, I was used to that because I'm an English teacher, or I was an English teacher. So yeah, I remember we went out, we just got some street food. I felt really comfortable with her, of course, because she was Thai and she knew how to, this was her territory. She knew where to go, she knew what to order. And she was very attentive to me. She was like, what do you want to eat? Do you need this? Do you need that? And yeah, I mean, my memory is a little foggy, but I'm sure I was tired that day from traveling, and she had a nice king size bed. And oh, I remember this. She kept calling like her mom every 20 minutes, because I guess her mom, she told her, of course she told her mom what was going on, and that this American guy from Japan was coming to visit her, and that we were kind of like boyfriend and girlfriend, but her mom was worried about her. So she was calling her mom every 20 minutes. And I found that annoying. Like, that was annoying to me. I was like, you need to put on your big girl pants, you don't need to call your mom every 20 minutes. But I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because, I thought about it like this, if I had a 24-year-old daughter who was a virgin, who had never had a boyfriend before, and she was meeting some guy who's coming over from a different country and going to sleep at her house. As a father, I wouldn't let that happen. Well, I don't know if I could prevent it from happening, but I would strongly advise my daughter not to put herself in that situation, and I think I would probably do everything in my power so that she wouldn't do something like that. Like I would have a long talk with her, and I would at the very least, I would go and meet the guy myself with my daughter. So I thought about it from her parents' perspective. I was like, okay, this whole like calling mom every 20 minutes, I get it. I get it from the parents' perspective. So I didn't say anything. And then, there was only one bed, and I believe I told her, don't worry, we don't have to have sex. Don't worry I'm not after that. Like, I really like you, and that's not what I'm here for. And I didn't just say that. That wasn't like a smooth line. I really believe that. And that was 100% genuine on my part. And we just slept on this bed. She slept on one side, I slept on the other side. And, you know, we spent the evening talking, and I just drifted off to sleep. And she just made me feel very comfortable. And that was my first day meeting my Thai girlfriend, my first Thai girlfriend for the first time.